Everyone is preparing for what may happen tomorrow. Protesters hitting the streets to demonstrate, saying they want to end bad governance, or they are protesting against hunger, or they are dissatisfied with the management of our Commonwealth. And some are saying don't go. Government is saying take it easy with us. We will do something. We're doing something. Be patient. It's a lot of narrative out there. But at the end of the day, that's why we're having this conversation. From the beginning of the program, we've had the CSO. We've also had the government, member of the Federal Executive Council, the Minister of State for Health, Dr. Tunji Alausa, who just joined us. And now I'm being joined by a gentleman who we call the encyclopedia of current affairs. But he has a lot of common sense he wants to share from the youth perspective as far as this issue of good governance and a better Nigeria is concerned. His name, Peter Aka, is an advocate for a new Nigeria, content creator, but you may know him on TikTok, which is where the first place I actually saw him, as Randy Peters. Welcome again. A big comeback. This is the fastest comeback on the show.
Yes,
I've seen.
One of the fastest.
That means you're a man of value.
Thank you very much.
We saw the video of you trying to make sense of what is going on.
Yes.
For the benefit of the audience who haven't seen that video, maybe you can just, a shorter version of what you were trying to say to Nigerians as far as this season of protest or not to protest is concerned.
Thank you very much once again. A shorter version of that video would mean protesting as a fundamental democratic right, but being sensitive with the benefit of hindsight to pay attention to the most important issue, such that at the end of this protest, because before you begin a protest, you should have a thought of the day after, as you have begun to see the reactions from government. So what is the fundamental, most profitable thing that can come out of a protest? And that was where I anchored on the issue of electoral reform and, the reform of INEC, as it were, before we move into constitutional and judicial reforms and all of that. But the election and the electoral system, being a democracy, as the doctor alluded to, that the president is a Democrat. So we must pay attention and make this protest about everybody, including the president, working for a better Nigeria, as against some people against the government.
So literally all of us are the ones hitting the street, whether physically or not. And we need to, we started off with talking about goal setting.
Yes.
How goals have to be SMART. That's the acronym. So it has to be specific.
Yes.
That's the S. It has to be measurable.
Yes.
Then it has to be achievable, relevant,
Yeah.
and time bound. You are taking a methodical approach to this, whole process, and you are using the benefit of hindsight as well. So if you were to have a conversation, a sit down, and as you said, it should be like everybody on the same team. So it's not us versus them, it's for Nigeria. So if you were to have a sit down with government on the one hand, what would you be telling government regarding how to handle this, how to ensure that we all get the result that will better the lives of everyone? Don't forget, government is also a part of the people.
Yes. Before I get to government, let me begin by telling all Nigerian youths and everybody who is participating in this peaceful protest to know that we are doing a good thing. The Bible says in the book of Galatians 6 verse 9 that we should not be weary of doing good, for in due course we shall reap if we do not lose heart. The Quran says in 282 that those who are able to do good, who believe and do good, would inherit paradise. They will be there forever. Fighting for the betterment of the country is a good cause. And Nigeria will be great because Nigeria has you and I. And there is nothing that is more evil than seeing a country or your society in collapse and doing nothing because you become an accomplice. Now to the government, we have listened to a lot of statements. From when this protest began, the president has met with traditional rulers, religious leaders, the ministers have spoken, everybody. But the president, what they fail to understand is the fact that there are underlying issues that are propelling at the base of this protest. If part of that energy has been channeled into addressing those issues, the protest will not even be there in the first place. So if the government is sincere about addressing the issues that Nigerians are facing on a daily, they will begin to go back to the drawing board and say, why are these children, why is there so much hunger? If you begin to look at hunger, then you will draw a straight line to corruption. You will draw a straight line to wastefulness and recklessness of government. The Honorable Minister was talking and she drew his attention to something. He pushed it to the legislative arm of government. It was not the legislative arm of government that built a new mansion for 21 billion for the vice president. It is the executive arm of government.
renovation, actually.
Renovation. It was not the legislative arm of government that budgeted billions of naira to purchase SUVs for the office of the First Lady, which is not a constitutionally recognized office. So when Nigerians see this kind of wastefulness on the part of leaders, and then the leaders in turn ask the people to continue to sacrifice. So the people are the gift that continues giving, while the leaders are the ones who live in luxury, affluence, like royals and monarchs, even in an economy like this. I don't think that the lifestyle of our leaders and public office holders reflects the generality of what is going on in this. So there is that disconnect, and that is why we are where we are as a people.
So, Peter, we may have had that conversation already with government, so to speak, that sit-down that Kayode is talking about, because of the reference to the conversation that we just had with the Minister of State for Health. Now, based on some of the explanations that he provided about government's efforts, the economic policies, our outlook internationally, and the prevailing on Nigerians for more time, after which, in a couple of years, we would begin to see results. If you heard all of that and you were a young Nigerian already prepared for the protest tomorrow, will that be an appeasement for you? Are those explanations satisfactory?
No. That is not an appeasement for me. And that was the reason for the video I made, trying to call attention to the persons who are at the fore of this protest. Look, once you make multiple demands, end hunger, those are infinite projects. You are going on a wild goose chase. What is hunger? What is causing hunger? A bad economy. What is the problem with Nigeria's economy? Corruption. 60% of Nigeria's corruption is administrative, inflation of government contracts, budget padding, criminality through procurement, and all of that. If you sit down, the president today, automatically they say bags of rice have come down to 40,000 naira. Before you know, they will say petroleum price will come down to this. There is a lot going in the petroleum sector that even the government does not have a hand on. Remember, the president is the minister for petroleum. That is why I say we must pivot immediately to make it about elections and electoral reform. The president is a Democrat. The senators and lawmakers claim to be Democrats. The base of a democracy are free, fair, peaceful, and credible elections.
But Peter, if you say make it about electoral reforms, elections are futuristic. We're not going to have another election until 2027, I believe, or months before that time. So Nigerians will tell you, maybe they cannot wait till that time before they see change.
Yes. The problem is if we go for the low-hanging fruits, it is a setup for another protest. If you allow yourself to lose the steam you have in protesting today and say we want to settle hunger, the president will roll out plans and tell you, okay, everybody go back. What happens when those issues resurge? What happens when the inflation skyrockets again and a leader rigs himself into, office? It then means we need to spend a majority of our life protesting. We already had 16 years of PDP. We have 10 years of the APC now going to the 11th year. If we allow it to continue, we'll have 32 years of constant protesting. And we have elections coming in Edo and, Ondo elections, which if we put the electoral system in place is a test, because you would not wait until 2027 for you to talk about elections. Politicians are already concluding plans for 2027. So if the people are not smart enough to get the opportunity to pick their leaders who they know can reform all of what we are talking about. Remember NSAS, 5/5 agenda, NSAS. Meanwhile, the major challenge was a bad law enforcement agency or agent. If you talked about SARS alone, you will have to protest for DSS, EFCC, Civil Defense, the Nigerian Army, Customs. What happens to getting a leader who reforms the entire law enforcement as against ending SARS? At the end, what happened? The president said we have disbanded SARS, but we have opened SWAT, which they had the powers to do. Where did the officers from SARS go to? They went into SWAT. They went back to mainstream police. What is the issue with police brutality today? That is why I'm calling on the attention of Nigerians that if you focus on one specific thing and you make it the, covering factor, we will lose a bigger picture to get a total reform that we would need. Any leader who knows that you can vote him out or through the electoral process would sit up.
So let's break it down. Let's unpack it.
Yes, sir.
Into short-term and long-term.
Yes, sir.
I know you don't like populating it.
Yes.
So let me give you the mileage of 3 to 5.
Yes.
That we need to do in the immediate.
Yeah.
And maybe in the midterm.
Yeah.
That if you were to speak to these protesters, because literally all of us are protesting, even the president is protesting.
Yes.
At some point. So if we're to do 3 to 5 things, short and medium term, what will they be?
The short and medium term issues, hunger. That was exacerbated by the issue of petroleum subsidy. And that is why I will tell you that I will keep maintaining that it's a complex web. If the president comes out today to give you a statement that petrol has come down to a certain price, believe me, the money or whatever that will be used to source that will come from another part of the economy, and the Nigerian people will still pay for it. Of course, the short-term projects will be bringing inflation down, bringing the cost of PMS, which is what a lot of Nigerians, they accuse in filling stations. Some people are buying for as high as 800 naira now. Nigerians will see some level of respite, but we should know that these things could just be washing and setting. If they come back again, if they are not sustainable, what do you do? The president will definitely take steps, as you have heard him talk. They say they are reducing tax on imported goods. So definitely we will see some, movements on the part of prices of goods and all of that. They might make a statement on petroleum, say we want to cap it, but at whose cost? At what cost? Those immediate impacts we are going to see. I am, curious to know at what cost and at whose cost, and what will be the long-term implication of our short-term solutions.
And I think that is why communication is quite big. Some have said that this is fire brigade approach that they're saying from government. They wonder, where's the president? Where's the president's spokesperson? Or where are the president's spokespersons?
Yeah.
Where are they? This is a time. In fact, you shouldn't have waited up until this point to start doing mobilization that we're beginning to see. And that has been the challenge of governance, communicating, ensuring that they build trust. But without communication, transparent and accountability, you cannot have trust. Or transparency and accountability, you can't have trust. So I'd like you to speak to, you've spoken to what the strategy should be, right? But then they say that there's light at the end of the tunnel. I don't know, I've heard that for decades, personally. There's light at the end of the tunnel. Now the challenge is the tunnel is not measurable.
Of course.
You don't know if it is 5 kilometers to the end of the tunnel or 10 kilometers to the end of the tunnel. You don't know if the light is the full voltage or the low voltage, as they say. You're not even sure what to envision when they say there is light at the end of a tunnel. So as a matter of communication, again, the government has a lot to do in this. What kinds of communication do you expect from this government beyond there is light at the end of the tunnel?
Beyond there is light at the end of the tunnel, there will have to be practical steps that show sincerity on the part of government. Mr. Kayode, this government protested against removal of fuel subsidy 12 years ago. And you had an APC chieftain, the former governor of Ekiti State, say it gleefully at an event that we did it because of political reasons during the Jonathan administration. There is a huge trust deficit. That is why the president is a Democrat, the National Assembly, they are Democrats. We have to visit the National Assembly. Let the lawmakers give us a guarantee. The president should come out and boldly state that I am guaranteeing free, fair, peaceful and credible elections when 109 people who died according to CDD report will not have to die. Elections will not have to be by the violent. When you give Nigerians that guarantee, then begin to talk about that is long term. Then short term, you can begin to put the palliatives. They say they are doing conditional cash transfer. It has not proven to work. Buhari did it for 8 years. They say they are going to bring down the cost of rice. Let us be hopeful. Let us remain peaceful. That is the most important thing.
What about the governors, the local government chairman, the councillors, the state assembly legislators? There are other leaders that I can count that are not being talked about here as well.
They have a role. It is the president is the father of the nation. He would impose on, he meets with the governors forum, and they can come together, say, Southwest governors, how do we alleviate? That is what leaders should do. That is what leadership is about. These people, they are going through pain. As in the South, can we get security for them to farm? Can we get storage facilities? When you come up with such ideas, the people will see that these persons represent, they understand and feel our pain, and they are working towards it. And naturally, Nigerians are very understanding people. Once you see the seriousness on government, Nigerians will begin to tell you to calm down, the president is working. So
just as we begin to wind down, there's a question I want you to answer as a citizen.
Yes.
Because observing the political class and the electorate, it's like we live in two different worlds.
Yeah.
I raised this question, I've forgotten who I raised it with. the presidents or our leaders always coming out at the wrong time.
Yeah.
Good luck, Jonathan, former president. When Boko Haram started, it came out at the wrong time. Perhaps thinking of his next election, whether he wants to appease the North or not. And then things festered. Muhammadu Buhari, former president of Nigeria, took 1 month from one person dying of COVID to even his own chief of staff. Almost 100 people. Yeah. Before the president, we were even worried, the president, did he catch COVID or not? Same thing happened in NSAS. Before he came out, 2 days after. And then when he came out, he was saying people want to topple his government. Now this has come. President Bola Tinubu has not come out to say a word yet. We're hearing from ministers. Some of his aides are saying the right things. Others are saying what I don't want to say. Discordant tone. What is it with the leaders and not coming out at the right time? 30 seconds.
30 seconds. Leaders who do not feel beholden to the people are those who act in that kind of manner. President Tinubu must understand that he is the president of the country. These protest people who are trying to paint it as Tinubu must go are being mischievous. In fact, Tinubu has to stay, because if he goes, who will replace him? The issue is, as a leader, you must show empathy and commitment to the plight of the citizens. If you delay it, you only further make a bad situation worse. Nigerians are ready to listen to their leaders if they see seriousness on the part of the people. People are suffering. People are hungry. People are dying. As a president, come out and address them and show commitment that your words is your bond.
So are you going out to protest tomorrow?
Peacefully.
Okay.
Mr. Peter Akas, I almost got the senior advocate. Advocate for a new Nigerian and content creator, the encyclopedia of current affairs. We should have taken you, maybe asked him how many protests have happened since 1960. Thank you for coming on the program.
It's a pleasure.
We appreciate you.
Thank you, sir.
Oh boy, what a day. So, we're all counting down. The whole idea is the fact that everybody has to be peaceful, whether you're for and against. The most important thing is that you must be peaceful, because if you're not peaceful, the institution of state will come on you, and that's not what we want as a people. Thank you for watching. I'm Jeffrey Zong.
And we must stay positive regardless of what tomorrow may bring. And we hope that indeed security agents will provide security for all. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back again tomorrow. I am Bukola Koka.
But what is this show without your feedback? So let's just run through all of the messages you've been sending in. The very first one is from Deshua Kromnan, who says the government has proposed a lot of measures to tame the protesters. But aside the implementation of the minimum wage, nothing is visible or visibly done, this user says. So more communication from government.
Well, Abubakar Sadiq from Delta State said, let them cut down cost of governance, cut down salaries and allowances of all political office holders. The president, vice president, NSA, chief of staff, SGF, senators and House of Representatives all should be cut down by 50%.
Akoso David from Abuja said to protest is our constitutional right, but I think if anyone is not satisfied with what is happening in the country, they should wait for the elections to express their displeasure.
And Sam Yorke from Benue State, Makurdi, precisely says, Nigerians have the right for peaceful or to protest peacefully as stipulated in our constitution. However, our youth and indeed all Nigerians have a duty to strengthen, protect and preserve our democracy, which gives us rights and freedom, and therefore avoid every temptation to go violent and destructive. That is what we want to do. Jojo and not war. So let's keep the engagement on. It's a democracy, absolutely. I'm Kayode Okikilu. Stay with Channels Television for all of the breaking stories and what you need to know. Goodbye.